Okay, Uncharted is from it's a new division of Sony Studios that they have this like intro to Uncharted that sort of features a bunch of their video game characters like uh which I found really interesting, like Ratchet and Clank, Kratos, like really interesting. Like, oh, like are they doing the Sony connected universe of video game movies? Uh, we'll see. But I found that opening title sequence, it's not unlike the Marvel or the DC where you see sort of a montage of characters. They did that in this, and I thought, oh, well, this is okay. They're counting on the brand recognition of their video games for Uncharted, right? So let's talk about Uncharted. I have very little experience in playing the game. I do know that the game is basically the male version of Tomb Raider, and Tomb Raider is the female version of Indiana Jones. So everything's sort of come full circle. But it's about this kid, Nathan Drake. And I don't know how close this is to the video game because I've only played like demos or I got into it and I haven't gotten very far in any of the Uncharted games. I think I got one or a couple of the games on PS Plus, which you pay like an annual fee for, and then you get free games that are so old no one would buy them. So I think that's how I have one of the Uncharted games. In any case, so he has like this long lost brother who sends him postcards, sort of leading him on some journey. Excuse me, just getting the morning coffee. So I'm just getting up to speed. But so he's getting these postcards from his brother, which are kind of like these clues to some big treasure, right? And he meets Mark Wahlberg's character, and the two of them end up being this duo trying to find this lost treasure. It's really not that. The plot of this movie is like probably less involved than the plot of one of the video games. Uh, I'll say that a couple of the action sequences are actually really fun. And it's nice to also see like Tom Holland not playing Spider-Man and not having to deal with so many side characters. It's basically, Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg, they're the drive of the whole thing, right? It's like Indiana Jones's, you might say, but a younger version of that. In any case, they pull off a couple of heists trying to lead to this treasure, of course, being chased by all these other adversaries who also want the treasure. I will say, I'm surprised how much of the trailer kind of ruined the movie. There's not as many surprises as you would think. A little bit of a twist at the end, which I'm not going to give away, and kind of a not like an end credit scene, but like a mid credits, like sort of like oh okay, that you'll need to stay for the credits. I think we just kind of have been trained, movie going audiences now, like stay for the credits. There might be something. I mean, for movies like this, not necessarily movies like Death on the Nile, but I actually thought, I know this is dumb, right? Like in my head, I'm like, this movie is dumb. I know it's dumb. I'm just having a good time. I mean, it seems like the kind of movie that normally would not have opened in as a February release. So I'm a little surprised that like, oh, like they're opening this big, what would have been a summer movie in February, truly. So, and the audience that I saw it with was, wasn't a packed audience. It's maybe 2/3 full at the AMC in Burbank, but audience was into it. They liked it. There's some really good twists, like right towards the end, which I got into. It's in the trailer. There's these sort of ships that are being taken by helicopter, and they're kind of weaving in between these mountains. That actually is a really great action sequence. I thought that was, I mean, it's the best in the movie, and along with a couple of other heists. So with decent action, like likable characters, Wahlberg and Tom Holland, they're at odds and form a bond. But how many times have we seen this before? When you hear me say this, you're going like, yeah, they're at odds and then they form a bond. So the thing is, have you seen this movie before? Yeah. Have you seen it done better? Much better in other movies. it wasn't terrible. It was just okay, which I think is kind of not, it's pretty forgettable. It's like just walking out of the theater and you're just like, oh, okay, well, I'm not going to question too much of this, or that was pretty dumb or whatever. I mean, my guess is, having played as much of the game as I played, which wasn't very much, it's pretty much like the game. It's like, things that just sort of fall into place, and it's fine. I mean, I'd probably rate it. I know our critic on Film Threat, who actually reviewed it for the website, gave it like a 5. I think that's a little harsh. I'd say it's more of a 6, or between a 5 and a 6. It's not going to change your life, not going to shake up the industry. It does kind of lack there's just should be more layers to it. And I feel like maybe this is an issue. Like when Tom Holland is in these kind of bigger movies, he just sort of, there's this dimmer version of himself as an actor, I guess. It's more focused on the action. So will you have a good time? Yes. Will you remember it 2 hours after you see it? Probably not. So take that for what you will. I don't know.
Well, let me ask you this.
Yes.
It's based on a video game. Let's just say the video game never existed and they just put out this movie. Does the video game, does its existence kind of color the movie? Does it make it more positive, more negative?
Well, see, I don't know, because I was not a player of the game. Like I said, I think I got it for free on PS Plus or whatever. I don't know that I ever paid for that game, but I don't know if well, maybe if like the video game didn't exist and it was just a movie, I think it's fine. It's a fine action movie. And Thurston Howell the third, any information? Are you still stranded on the island? Better or worse than Air Bud? Oh, I'd say maybe he's talking about.
I think he's talking about Dog, and
okay.
It's much more realistic than Air Bud. But let's keep talking about Uncharted.
Well, I'll answer the question. Uncharted, better or worse than Air Bud? I'm gonna say probably better. Oh, we lost Alan. There we go. But we have another comment here. Marcus Bismuth says, Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg playing themselves. Never once did I believe they are the characters from the game. 100%. That's a great comment, Marcus. Yeah, it's, they didn't seem like they were. I mean, like I said, my experience with the game is limited, but it didn't seem like, it's sort of like they used the game as a backdrop, but not like the characters at all. It feels like they just built their own world and were just like, whatever. They didn't want to be constrained by, whatever limits. I mean, are there people that are such devotees of the game that they would be upset that there were certain things not correct? I'm not sure. I don't know that there's a strong enough fandom with Uncharted that any sort of pivoting away from, the game canon would matter. I mean, so I kind of feel like they played fast and loose with a lot of stuff, including reality. But that final action sequence is pretty damn fun. It's pretty fun with these ships and the helicopters. They're kind of wavering and just, and I don't know. I thought that scene.
But that's a completely CG action scene.
Well, I mean, most of it, but I mean, also, I wish more of the movie was like that. I mean, the first 2/3 of the movie is kind of a heist, and it's like a video game. Like, you got to find this clue to get to this thing, then it opens up this map. I mean, it very much sort of follows like a lot of video game logic, including like ignoring physics and whatnot. But look. It's fun. It's not great. How's that? And I would probably give it a 6. Brittany Witherspoon on the Film Threat website gave it a 5, so she liked it much less than I did. But what are you going to do?
I think she was actually very familiar with the game. She's played it a lot.